Hi. Sleuths often see what others don't. How? By refusing to see what others do see, then sleuthing it themselves, physically. Here is an example. 20 years ago, on November 9, 1989, the Berlin Wall fell. It came as a thunderclap to US intelligence. The entire CIA missed it. Agents in the field, back office scientists in Langley, everybody, all except one. The second in command of the CIA, General Vernon Walters, a portly guy who spoke 5 languages perfectly, both the literary and the slang, he got it right. How did he? Well, a week before the event, he put on shabby clothes and went out for a stroll in East Berlin. What did he do there? He chatted to people. Cab drivers, shop owners, hookers, pimps, students, young, old, men, women, everyone. He told jokes, bumped cigarettes off people or gave them some of his, and asked them what they thought. He came back to the US Embassy and sent out a coded cable to Jim Baker, the Secretary of State then. This place, Walters said, East Berlin, is about to blow in a few days. There will be a counter-revolution. What? Said Baker. Nonsense. None of your agents, none of our agents or analysts heard anything. Where do you get this from? On the street, said General Walters. I talk to people. They all feel in their gut something is going to happen. They just know. Fiddlesticks, said Baker, although he used a different word. Withdraw your cable, so it is not in the historic record. No, I won't, said Walters. I stand by it. Now, Jim Baker was in a pickle, because this meant General Walters, number 2 in the CIA, would likely resign rather than obey. And he had friends in Congress. So the cable stayed. Today it is famous. Why famous? Because a week later, on November 9, a spontaneous demonstration in East Berlin ended up at the Berlin Wall, where everyone, border guards included, those who used to shoot wall jumpers, participated in demolishing the wall, spontaneously, with hammers. And just like that, history changed. How did General Walters know when all the analysts and agent runners and phone listeners and code breakers all missed it? Like he said, he just talked to people on the spot. They all had a feeling, a sense of what was coming before it became a blip on a screen or an ink on a report. Physical evidence, personally obtained. That's sleuthing for you. What's the lesson for you as a stock sleuth? The obvious one is talk to the company's employees, suppliers, or customers. Over a beer if you can, or over the phone if you cannot in these COVID days. Ask them how things are. And then keep your big mouth shut, and I mean physically shut, and wait and listen. You may be surprised in what you hear. For example, they may say that the company is looking for 100 more tech support people because the new product is going gangbusters and the CEO is great. Or just the opposite, that many salespeople are quitting because their commission was cut and they hate the boss. You'd never know this if you didn't ask and if you didn't listen. Just like General Walters of the CIA did. You have to talk to people in person to learn what really goes on in the scene. Else, how can you take the money of the Jim Bakers who don't? So why do I mention all this? Because today you can get a sniff of such local information, even off the internet, yes, but then you must verify it yourself via people you know and trust. Take the case of the EU, the European Union. It seems solid, just like East Germany once did. So if the EU falls apart, there will be all sorts of implications for your investments, like avoiding the euro or avoiding mutual funds that have euro bonds. But is the EU falling apart? Most say it doesn't. Yet the likelihood for such a breakup is growing. And the cause is France. which will be electing a new president on April next year, 2022. If you are a politics junkie like me, and if you watch the French political debates, you can smell the French elites are having an attack of hysteria, just as the US had in 2016, and for similar reason. There's a French Trump fast rising in the polls. The guy is a skinny Jewish intellectual named Eric Zemmour, with double M, with Algerian parents and Obama-like ears, who knows French history and literature cold. He's an expert debater and is cool under pressure. And the scariest thing for the French elite, most of whom are paid by the EU in some form or another, is that Zemmour describes France's problems in precise, non-PC language which mesmerizes the audience. As a result, his rallies, ostensibly to promote his latest book, are pulling ever larger crowds, all shouting his name and crying out, "Run for president, save us." In the last few months, Zemmour rose from 1 or 2% in the poll to 17%, second only to President Macron, and that before he even declared he is running. Yet because I don't trust the internet, and because I don't want to travel to France right now, I called friends and family who live there and asked them if Zemmour is a phenomenon for real. Oh yes, they all said. Like it or not, it's real. And Zemmour, like Trump in 2016, is highly likely to win, despite fierce official opposition. Now, why all this is important to investment decisions? Because if Zemmour wins, it would likely throw the EU completely off kilter after having already been greatly weakened by Brexit. But not only by Brexit. A few weeks ago, the Polish Supreme Court said that the Polish constitution takes precedence over the ECJ ruling, European Court of Justice. And this means that the Poles can do what they want and maybe pay less to the EU in the future. The Hungarians already have a similar rebellion going, so if the EU would punish them both, it would be cutting off two important EU states. Punish how? Well, currently the EU issues EU bonds, which means it is borrowing on the future tax revenues of all member states, obligating them to pay more tax in the future, but rebate to them right now in advance some of it, if they behave. But do they behave? No, they don't. More and more, some EU states refuse to behave. Up to now, these were smaller ones, Hungary, Poland, the Czech Republic, but France is not small. It's one of the big three, alongside Germany and Italy. So if France, under a President Zemmour, refuses to behave too, then EU bonds would have even less tax coverage and would tank, and so would the euro. So if any of the mutual funds you own have EU bonds, get ready for losses. But let's finish on a positive note. A far bigger result of a President Zemmour presidency would be that France could become a turnaround country, just like Britain was after Brexit, the US after Trump's win, or Argentina today. How? Well, under a President Zemmour, most of the French ruling class will be turfed out, their supine acceptance of German industrial dominance replaced by a France first mentality. There'll be less support for the EU, less cost of illegal immigration, and more industrial revival. But don't just take my word for it. If you speak French, look up Zemmour's latest speeches on YouTube and watch him demolish hostile interviewers with great ease and aplomb. Some of my contacts call him the French Trump. If you have friends or colleagues in France, or better still family, call and ask them about him, and ask about a public reaction to him. Then keep your mouth shut and listen. Just like General Vernon Walters had asked before the Berlin Wall fell. Because those on the spot always know things papers and the internet can't see or refuse to see. So those who rely on them, only on the internet and newspapers, will know less than you. And then, mon pote, as they say in French, you can take the money in the market. That's all for today. Please tell me below what you think of the above. And if you like it, give it a like and subscribe, and tell all your friends who they subscribe to. I'll see you next time, and meantime, thank you very much for watching.